spending more on Valentine's Day doesn't mean you love someone more. The average American spends $192 on this one day, and a shocking number put it on a credit card they won't pay off until April. That's not romance. That's a $192 decision that actually costs you $220 by the time interest kicks in. So today we're comparing two approaches to Valentine's Day. The conventional, spend big, impress big approach versus what I call the intentional Valentine's Day. And we're looking at both honestly, because money absolutely matters in relationships, just maybe not in the way you've been told. Here's the trap most of us fall into every February. You want to show your partner you care. You want the evening to feel special. And everywhere you look, the ads, the restaurant specials, the jewelry store windows, everything is screaming that special has a price tag. So you're standing there thinking, do I go all out and risk my budget or dial it back and risk seeming like I don't care? That trap costs Americans over $24 billion every single year on Valentine's Day alone. The National Retail Federation tracks it, and it's gone up almost every year for the past decade. Let's walk through both options side by side. Option A is the conventional Valentine's Day. Restaurant reservations somewhere you'd normally never go, a dozen red roses that somehow cost $89 in February when they're $30 in March, chocolates, maybe jewelry, maybe a hotel. For most couples, this lands between $150 and $300 in a single evening. Here's the part nobody puts in the Valentine's Day ads. 1 in 4 people go into debt for it. 1 in 4 per Wallet Hub survey. Carrying that balance at a 22% APR means your $200 romantic dinner is still following you around in April, earning interest every single day. The honest case for option A, there's something real about the effort of a reservation, a thoughtful gift, a night that feels different from a Tuesday. If it's in your budget and you're not stressed about it, enjoy it. No shame in spending on people you love when it's planned and affordable. But the data tells us most people aren't in that position. There's also the hidden cost that nobody talks about. The pressure. When you spend $200 on a dinner, the evening has to be perfect. The relationship has to justify the expense. That pressure doesn't make a night more romantic. It makes it more stressful. Now let's talk about option B, the intentional Valentine's Day. A few years ago, my partner and I were saving for a down payment. Money was genuinely tight. We decided Valentine's Day would be a cook-at-home night. I made pasta from scratch, badly by the way, took 3 attempts to not end up with one giant noodle. We opened a bottle of wine we'd been saving, watched a movie we'd been putting off. Total cost about $35. And I remember that evening more clearly than any restaurant night we've had. Not because it was cheaper, because we were actually present. No waiter hovering, no awkward should we get dessert calculation, no Uber home at midnight, just us. This next part surprised me when I actually looked at the research. Studies on gift giving and relationship satisfaction consistently show that perceived thoughtfulness matters more than perceived cost. A handwritten letter, a playlist of songs that mean something, cooking their favorite meal, these register as effort in a way that a store-bought gift often doesn't. So what does an intentional Valentine's Day actually look like? Here's a real framework. Budget, $30 to $75. Cook something together or make their favorite dish. A grocery store bouquet costs $8 to $15 and looks just as beautiful in a vase as a $90 florist arrangement. Light candles, put on music, turn your phones face down. That last part is free and probably the most valuable thing you can do. For the gift, think specific, not expensive. What have they mentioned wanting in the last few months? A book by their favorite author, a jar of their favorite snack, a framed photo from a trip you took, a coupon book of things you'll do together and actually follow through. These cost $10 or $30, and they say, I was paying attention to you, which is genuinely the most romantic message you can send. Here's what most people completely miss. If the average couple saves $150 by choosing option B over option A just once a year, and invests that $150 instead over 20 years at a 7% average market return, that's roughly $580 from one Valentine's Day decision per year. Now apply that thinking across birthdays, anniversaries, Christmas. The intentional approach to all 5 major holidays adds up to $8,000 or more over a decade. That's a vacation together, a down payment, an emergency fund that means you're never stressed about an unexpected bill. So what's the verdict? If you have the money budgeted, you're not going into debt. And a nice dinner is something you both genuinely love. Do it. No judgment. But if you're even slightly on the fence, if you're thinking about putting it on a card, if the idea of spending $200 on one evening makes your stomach tighten even a little, that's your gut telling you something important. The intentional Valentine's Day isn't the cheap option. It's the thoughtful option. It's choosing connection over performance. And in most relationships, that's actually what people want. They want to feel seen, not impressed. Here's your one action for right now, before you close this video. Pick a real number for your Valentine's Day budget. Not a vague, I'll figure it out, an actual dollar amount. Write it down. Then think of one specific thing your partner has mentioned in the last few months. Something small that proved you were listening. That's your gift. That's your plan. Done. You don't need to spend more to love more. You just need to pay attention. This video is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial advice. Always consult a qualified financial advisor before making financial decisions. If this gave you a different way to think about holiday spending, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe, because every week we break down the money stuff that actually affects your real life. I'll see you in the next one.